Peace be to you all. Assalamualaikum. This is Omar Abdul-Malik, physician associate, health educator, and moderately fit middle-aged endurance athlete. So I'm going to answer a question I got in the comments section of a YouTube video, and it's from OK, which is what made you choose being a PA over a physician? What aspects do you like about it? Sorry if those are broad questions. So, to be succinct, I did not get into medical school. So I applied to medical school 3 times back in the early 90s. So 93, 94, and 95. Frankly put, it was apparently during those years they had a record number of applicants. I didn't have a lot of money to apply broadly, so I chose just the DC-based schools. My GPA was mediocre. It was a 3.0, and my MCAT scores just as mediocre. I had 877, and I did very well on the verbal. I had good patient, like previous patient interactions. I was a nursing assistant for 5 years. It doesn't really, I don't think anybody really cares about that in medical school. It's not like applying to PA school. Anyway, I didn't get into medical school. I was waitlisted. I didn't know much about the PA profession. I thought that going to college, when I first heard about it, I was like, why'd you go to college to be somebody's assistant? That is absolutely ridiculous. So I didn't even bother with checking into becoming a PA. Later, I met somebody from Howard University. I think it was in '96, who was a PA student in his senior year. Oh, and I should add, I was still trying to get into medical school. I got my degree in biology, and I was working for a biotech firm. Lost that job, dropped out of graduate school. I was going to grad school for doing a master's in biotechnology. Hopefully, still trying to get into medical school, hoping they'd be impressed with that. But I lost the biotech job, dropped out of grad school, and I was like, okay, now what do I do? So should I try to get into med school again, 4th time? I even looked at Caribbean schools. But then I met somebody who was a senior PA student at Howard. And I met him at a bookstore, of all things. It was a science bookstore. And he was looking at these USMLE books. And he overheard a conversation I had with somebody about not getting into med school. So he reintroduced me to the concept of PA, and I was like, wow, what do you do with all those medical school books? And he's like, well, this is what we have to know. And back, you got to understand, this is almost 25 years ago. We didn't have a lot of physician assistant national certification exam books like we do now. So a lot of PAs were studying from the USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 books. Not that our education is as in-depth as the physicians, but that kind of impressed me, that he had to know at least quite a bit of what the doctors know. So he told me more about what he was doing as a PA student. So I was really intrigued by that. There was an article in the Washington Post in '97 on the front page, and I think it was entitled "Physician Assistants: Robust Career in a Faltering Economy," or something like that. But PA was like, it was touted as this hidden gem of a job, and I'll get the article so I can hopefully put it in the link. But it was absolutely amazing, and I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. It turned out to be a really good fit for me. When I finally got into PA school in '97, graduated in 2000. Some doctors liked the way I worked and said, "Listen, you need to go to medical school, become a doctor. You're too smart to be just a PA." So when I had the opportunity to actually get into medical school, I was like, I'm good. I was making money and having fun. Just practicing medicine. I was fine for me to practice under the supervision of a licensed physician. It's not like they were breathing over my shoulder. I enjoyed a lot of autonomy. That segues to one of the reasons why I like it. So I've been a PA for more than 20 years now. I have a lot of autonomy, as much as I want. I get to do some procedures, and it's been a great career thus far. I always wanted to do a career where I had to constantly get knowledge. We have something called continuing medical education, and in continuing medical education, you have to keep taking these credits. You got to read peer review, research articles, go to conferences, and learn a lot of new things. Changes in medicine paradigms and different procedures and so forth. So it's a career that really forces one to be an intellect. And then on my level, I've got some publications. I should have a lot more publications after 20 years, but I'm not in academia. I'm in the clinical setting. I went on to do a Doctorate of Health Education, and you can do a lot. Yeah, I taught, so I've been a college professor, adjunct, I should say. I've helped coordinate original research. I've done clinical trials. I've got to work at nonprofit organizations. Actually, there was one of my erstwhile students set up a nonprofit clinic. So there's a lot you can do as a PA. I've been a speaker for pharmaceutical companies. So, I found that for me personally, PA is a very good fit. I have a lot of other interests. I'm a very serious endurance athlete. In fact, I'm training for my first ultra marathon. So that's beyond 26.2 miles. I've done many of those, but I want to challenge myself to do an ultra. I want to write another book. I want to write some articles, some more articles, and get back into public speaking. I've been able to do that because as a PA, you don't have the same pressure on you as the MDs do. My supervising physician's got to go to a bunch of meetings that I don't want to go to. And I used to go to important meetings. To me, it was a waste of time a lot of times. But I get to, being a PA, you kind of get overlooked. Like you're in this pandemic, this COVID pandemic. You hear people saying in the media, "We'd like to thank our brave doctors and nurses for fighting, this the COVID pandemic." What about us PAs? And then you got RTs, respiratory therapists, and patient care technicians who are getting overlooked. But the PAs were prescribing clinicians, so we're often overlooked. I'm okay with that. Just leave me alone. I don't need thanks or praise or any certificates or commendations. Let me see my patients and do my work. So you have to be okay with that, and I am. I'm pushing a big 6-0, so I'm at a different place in my life. My children are transitioning into young adulthood, and my wife and I are available to help them do that as efficaciously as possible, as much as they'll heed our advice. So all of those things take tremendous amounts of time. Being a family man and an athlete, and I should say a wannabe writer and speaker, and being a PA allows me to do that. Also, it simultaneously allows me to engage in a lot of reading and really expanding my mind and developing my intellect, as limited as it may be. But that said, I hope that answered your question. But it's a great profession. It was listed as the #1 profession in America by U.S. News and World Report. It's expected to grow by 30%, which is pretty good. Average salary is about $115,000 a year. It's not a lot of money, but you'll get by on that, and you can make a lot more than that with your imagination. Okay, so that's it for now. I wish you guys the best of success in your positive endeavors. You can reach out to me if you'd like in the comments section and by Instagram. Take care. God bless you. Good night.